I'm Chris Bonatti, CEO and co-founder of Hudson Labs. We've been around since 2019, originally founded as an AI research team. Our research team is led by the brilliant Suhas Pai, who is the author of Designing Large Language Model Applications, published by O'Reilly, an exceptional textbook, and really well known in the open source AI research community. Big contributions include the Bloom project, which is the largest multilingual model of its time, bigger than GPT-3. We've spent a lot of time working on adapting AI models and LLMs to very specific equity research and investor pain points. And a lot of our contributions around relevance ranking, getting the right information into the context window or the prompt are still relevant, or even more relevant today than they were in 2019. Me personally, I started my career as a CPA, working in audit at KPMG, and later did a degree in statistics and data, ended up working as a data scientist at a corporate governance advisory firm where I specialized in natural language processing, which is text processing, sort of pre-LLM text processing. Ended up in this role after seeing how far behind the financial, corporate, regulatory industry was compared to consumer tech. Well, happy to walk you through the co-analyst and also walk you through why it's been getting such good reviews from people who, like institutional investors, people working in equity research. And I think a big part of that is because we're targeting pain points with generalist models. One of the reasons it is slightly harder to learn is that it isn't implemented like a chatbot. So it's designed to not give you access to model memory. So that means you can't just ask anything. It's enforcing that the information is coming from source, which means it's more directive, it's more constrained, but you're a lot more likely to get the information that you're looking for. And we're relying on some of our very cool and proprietary contributions to AI research around relevance ranking. So getting the right information in front of the analyst that an investor actually wants to see. So hallucination has become a lesser problem these days, where a model will actually lie, but there's still a really big problem with what we call AI nonsense, where you'll ask for something like guidance. And I can show you this if you want to go to like Perplexity Finance, not to call them out specifically. But if you ask for NVIDIA guidance on Perplexity, I think I can show you an example of this on our blog. So guidance is something that's specifically challenging for generalist models. So this is another competitor where it's not hallucinating per se. These are real numbers. It's just misinterpreting actuals as guidance. For this specific competitor, if you 80% of the time, it's fine. It gets guidance right. And then 20% of the time, it does this where it misinterprets, which is also very annoying because you don't know when it's right and when it's wrong. So Perplexity for finance is interesting because it operates more like a truly generalist model. You ask for guidance and none of this is incorrect. It's just not at all what you want, right? Like it's nonsense. It's not what an investor cares about at all. So some really awesome things that you're seeing here. This is a very bespoke and equity research specific process. When you type in the keyword guidance, there's a lot happening on the back end, a lot more than just sort of generic chatbot going on. You can see that we're doing arithmetic, something that LLMs aren't super good at. So 43 plus or minus 2%. If you do the math, this is going to be correct. We're putting everything into this nice tabular format that copies into Excel without formatting errors. And we're not ignoring soft guidance. So why are people going to be coming to a call? It's for the elements of guidance that might not have made it into the press release. So the way that this is working is we're making you specify the search universe by specifying the company or companies and which earnings calls you want to search. Right. And by doing that, we're enforcing that the information is going to come from the earnings call instead of from model memory. And then in this ask a question, what's happening here is first and foremost retrieval. So we're first figuring out what's going to be most relevant to guidance. And unlike this example here, we're focusing on numeric company-specific information. We're ranking that information in a way that actually makes sense and making sure you get it completely and accurately. And then if you hit multiple, by default, what the model is going to do is compare the quarters where this was mentioned over time and show it to you in a tabular format by default. You can ask for something different. What you can't do is go like, give me the bull case on NVIDIA, because we're not giving you access to model memory. We're only giving you information that exists in the source document. So we're focused on the extraction and organization aspects of AI. That's something that we feel very strongly about when we were talking earlier about how people overestimate the reasoning capabilities of AI. When you ask ChatGPT, what's the bull case on NVIDIA? It's not doing something that's useless. It's pulling together really interesting information. Like it's pulling together what Reddit and Twitter have to say and not be fooled, right? Like you're understanding what the internet thinks the bull case of NVIDIA is, what exists in model memory, etc. You're not getting any unique insight from the model. The model just doesn't have that type of high level reasoning capability. What we can do really well is pull information that's hidden in structured text across disparate, messy documents and pull it together in a way, in seconds, in the way that you want it. And I think like it's replacing a real task that our users do all the time that's incredibly useful and valuable. So if you wanted to go look at all of the commentary around traffic, if you wanted to collect traffic numbers at Costco over time, how do you do that right now? You pull up maybe a search tool and search for traffic, or you just go through, like this is 8 earnings calls. You go through every single one. You find like these are potentially in different sentences. And you copy paste them into an Excel document. This happened in 2 seconds. I would say we're focusing on the true benefits of LLMs and taking away the unhelpful bits. Here are my favorite customer comments from the last month. I just posted them, but that's
I like the bleeps.
I don't know if you've experienced this in your work, but there's so much frustration with AI tools, and I feel it all the time too, where I'll try a couple things. For me, the thing that takes us the most time and seems like the least direct value is creating content. But the content that we create is very specialized. It requires knowledge of securities filings and earnings transcripts and investing. And it seems so simple to be able to take a post, copy paste it into ChatGPT, etc., and have something extraordinary come out. And you'll do it once and go like, this looks amazing. And then you send it to someone and they go like, this bit is wrong. And that happens to you a couple times and you just go, I can't use this, like this, I'm done. And you stop integrating the tools into your daily life. And sometimes it's just really nice to have something that actually solves a real life pain point that you can rely on, you're not worried about. really popular use case that we have is the comparative one. I don't, this was, you asked about things that are surprising. I don't think this is necessarily surprising that people like this. But all the model is doing here is for a topic, a broad topic, looking for areas where there's overlapping subtopics and organizing that for the user. Which is hugely helpful. Like,
Right.
I didn't know before I did this. I did because I ran this the other day for insurance semester, but before running this,
Right.
whether or not they're actually disclosing the California fire impacts or not, what I should be looking for specifically. This is great for things like tariffs, artificial intelligence, whatever that is, either from a multi-period evolution perspective. You know, is management being consistent in how they're describing things? People keep coming to us going like, this is going to save me so much time. But it's not time saving as just time saving, right? Our next big feature launch is around screening and thematic research. So instead of doing this on specific tickers, being able to do population level screens using this unstructured multi-step reasoning process. So one example is right now, if you want to find a list of all public companies who have recurring revenue that's more than 50% of total or 60% of total, recurring revenue isn't something that's on the face of financials. That's not something you can just screen for on Bloomberg, right? Sometimes it's in a table, sometimes it's in structured text. It's not necessarily described as recurring revenue. It's subscription revenue, it's something else. So it would never make sense for, or rarely make sense for an analyst to go out and collate the information for every single US public company where that might be relevant. But with the use of AI, those types of unstructured questions that require multi-step reasoning, multi-step math, you go figure out what the subscription revenue is, the recurring revenue, you divide it by total revenue, you get a percentage, you get the list of companies. It's now possible. It's facilitating analysis that formerly no one would bother doing. And we are well known for our work on forensic and risk elements, and we provide going concern warnings, internal control weaknesses, etc., in real time for every single US company. And before we existed, it was really challenging to do population level analytics on those types of things. You couldn't say like, hey, de-SPACs have a higher rate of going concern warnings than the rest of the market. You would never bother doing that type of analysis. But because we exist, now there's a whole bunch of journalists who are able to write about that, for instance.